Okay, so Bloody Steppes of Crimea, 1854, by Stratagemata. Looking at Balaclava. Well, looking at some units moving on a portion of the battlefield of Balaclava, but really mostly looking through the rules. So we'll pick up again. So great game so far. Of course, I'm reminded about how not so deep my wargaming experience is. So, well, I guess I'll make that. Well, I'll just say this game might. Well, how do I put this? I don't remember ever playing a game like this. On the one hand, on the other hand, this might be similar to, well, I'm saying that it might be similar to Great Battles of the American Civil War. The problem is I haven't played it, but why am I saying that? I'm saying that because I have skimmed the rules for Twin Peaks, and, well, these rules just remind me a bit of what I saw in the rules of Twin Peaks. But I need to play Great Battles of the American Civil War. Okay, so yeah, so again, I don't have much. Okay, so I don't have much to compare it to, so I guess I should just forget that. Instead, I'll say I'm really liking this game so far. Why? Because of things it has that I'm looking for. So even though this part of the battlefield that I'm playing on is pretty simple, this is unusual. Other parts of the battle have more complex terrain, a bit more. And I would say again that the terrain detail and variability is again just enough to keep my interest. Of course, I think I have high levels of interest in complex map terrain, but still, this is good enough. I like the formation detail. I like the orders detail, even though I'm getting less and less interested in what's the word? I can't think of a good word that conveys what I want, but command and control is really I'm a lot less interested in command and control these days than I am in other things. I'll just leave it at that. It has the firepower, it has ranged combat here, it has troop quality, it has obviously morale. I guess that's not so unusual anymore these days, right? Yeah, so it has the detail I'm looking for. Okay. I think I'm basically done with the Russian 16th Division. I guess you call it activation now. I have read a little bit more of the rules. Interesting when we get to close combat. Again, see, I feel bad saying this. Like, I want to say I've never played or I don't remember ever playing a war game with firepower done this way, and ranged combat or fire combat as opposed to melee done this way. But then maybe I've just been playing too many small unit tactical games. I don't know, because I'm not sure what's here is really that unusual. It's unusual for me. I guess I'll just leave it at that. It's unusual for me, but I understand it may not actually be unusual if you come from the deeper wargaming tradition. I want to say TSS, Terrible Swift Sword, which I don't own, have never played, although just now I'm starting to think maybe in the future I will try to hunt down a copy for myself. I'll have to figure out which one to get, which one I would most enjoy. But maybe I do hunt down a copy of TSS and try it. Up until very recently, I never thought I would even think about that. So again, if you have a deep history in the whole TSS up to I think Great Battles of the American Civil War, if you have a lot of experience in that vein of wargaming history, then maybe this is really just another evolution of that. I just can't say that because I don't know. So read a bit more of the rules. Very interesting stuff coming, I think. I'm going to try to use the sequence of play that's on the player aid card. And I did, as I said before, I did prep the, whatever you want to call them. They're not even labeled. I don't think they're labeled, but the hit rosters. Well, they're more than hit rosters. They're hit rosters and orders, I guess, displays. So here are so I photocopied the Russian Battle Balaclava. Again, the display there, hit roster and orders display. So I got attack order for the 16th Division. Again, I don't know why 16th Division doesn't have one of these hex displays. I don't know if that's a particular scenario-specific rule. There's a fair amount to go through in this game. I probably have done no good, given no good sense of that, but there's a lot to this game, and some of it is labor of love stuff, which is great. But anyways, not knowing otherwise, I went ahead and said 16th Division attacking vector, 2 hex sides 6 and 1. Oh, whoops, I did that backwards, didn't I? Yes, I did. I think it should be 3 and 4. All right. So that's backwards, but I did mark the losses taken by these two guys from reaction infantry fire, from the thin red lines there. Okay. Okay, and then, as I said, here's the player aid card, one of them. So we have turn phases. I'll just review what I skipped. Command phases, remember we have 3 phases: command, activation, and reorganization. Command phase, place reinforcements and returning commanders on the maps. I'm trying to figure out, by looking at this in detail, and then as I read more of the rules, I'll see how accurate and useful this is. Useful, or I should say accuracy, means usefulness. If it's inaccurate, then obviously usefulness goes down. The commander-in-chief automatically changes orders 3 hexes. Okay. By the way, and I've done nothing to display this, nothing to give an idea of this. The command rules are pretty involved. I didn't see anything that wasn't kind of really, again, I don't know about intuitive, but I didn't see anything that stuck out as questionable, but there's quite a bit to it. I mean, you may have dispatch riders, for example. You can have subordinate leader acting on their own initiative. You have action markers. You have initiative where you can do basically 2 activations back to back. So you have, again, none of it is unique or revolutionary, but it has a lot of this stuff, familiar stuff, but a lot of this familiar stuff in here. And I've just skipped over the vast majority of it. Commander-in-Chief changes orders using dispatch riders. 4 to 10 hexes, movement of dispatch riders. Dispatch riders. That would be a dispatch rider like this. Like that. Dispatch rider. That's a Russian one. And then you have a British dispatch rider. Sending dispatch riders 11 hexes and more. Moving dispatch riders from turn track under CNC counter. There's a turn track printed on the edge of the map. Changing orders by wing corps commander. Okay, changing orders by wing corps commander. Marking units for reorganization. Okay, is there? All right, take a look at something. So this is kind of funny. I saw these R markers, and of course, being an English speaker, I just assumed these were route markers or maybe retreat markers or something. No, these are the reorganization markers. So we do have marking units for reorganization. Movement of CNC and Corps wing commanders determine the number and designations of activation markers, and then determine the initiative. Okay, that's all the command phase, mutual command phase. Then we go to the activation phase, which is where we're at. Drawing activation markers and choosing a division independent brigade, only drawing in the optional version. There are a few optional rules at the very end of the rule book, not many, but I'm not going to consider the optional rules because I do think that the base design has enough for me for quite a while. Players may change the order using the division independent brigade commander. Okay, change their order. There are 3 orders: attack, defend, and force march. Marking brigade commanders and out of command units, activation of units, movement, fire, melee, combat, cavalry charges, reorganization from disorganization. Okay, and then rallying routed units. So I think 16th Division is done. Then you move to the other side, so the British. Now, I guess the only thing I'm going to decide, so I guess without looking into the rules yet, so before looking at the rules, so here's the British 1st Division. So I'm going to put a D in there for defend. Their orientation is that way, towards the top of the map, as per the orientation of the hex IDs. So I'm going to look in the rules, but basically I want to know, I don't want to move yet. I don't want to move. I want to know, when, and how do I fire with my artillery? Here, it's got my 2 artillery here. That'll also involve line of sight. I was about to say, but that'll be easy, but no, not necessarily. Line of sight rules are at least 1 step above basic pancake. What I mean, that to me means, all right, so basic pancake means, let's see, what's an example? Yeah, basic pancake means to use an infantry unit. If the infantry unit here is 1 hex back from the edge, right, the edge of the drop-off, all line of sight is automatically blocked, no matter how far, no matter what you imagine the angles to be. So in other words, the unit has to go to the edge of the terrain adjustment to get line of sight. That to me is basic pancake. This is at least 1 step up. I'm saying at least because when I dig into it, maybe there's even more, but already I know 1 step up to me means that if the unit is back, let's see, if the unit's back here, and there's basically 2 units, or 2 hexes of higher elevation than the lower unit. So I think, again, this hex is possibly blocking line of sight, and that has to be closer to the higher unit than the lower unit. I don't have an easier way to explain that type of line of sight, but it's what it prevents, well, what it allows for is a unit to be back from the edge, for an enemy unit to be out here. Yeah, I'm still on the screen. See this? This would not block line of sight here. So this allows for that, and at the same time, it allows for this unit to get up close like that and to basically be hidden in the dead space. Okay. Not such a good explanation. So artillery, oh, and they're up one. Oh, no, this is even better. Yeah, I do consider it better, but it is another step up from that. So that step, what I just very poorly explained, is one step up from basic. This at least is two steps up from basic, because the next level of, I guess, detail is to actually account for the number of levels of difference. So the fact that the artillery is up here, 2 levels above this one, so it's on this level, up 1, up 2, means that, however, the difference in levels between the units is factored in, and they do have that in this rule set. I remember that. So this is at least, again, in my mind, 2 levels above the basic line of sight. All right, so how do I fire my artillery? How do I do line of sight to find my targets? And also I do want to review with a defend order what can and can't the British units do here. Okay, so basically there are orders restrictions. They call it a defense order. Okay, defense order. The Division Independent Brigade Commander, I guess that means the division or Independent Brigade Commander with this order. Yeah, it must be. Cannot move from the occupied hex. I have no idea what they mean. What do they mean from the occupied hex? Do they mean you can't move? I'm not sure. Units subordinated to the commander may not this makes sense. They cannot initiate melee or charge. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. But may counterattack, countercharge, fire, reorganize, and move. Or maybe they mean literally just the commander. So they mean the commander cannot move, but units can move. Okay. That's probably what they mean by the Division Independent Brigade Commander cannot move from the occupied hex. Cannot move from its position. Okay. A subordinate brigade commander cannot voluntarily move out. Oh, I guess this is important too. So a subordinate brigade commander cannot voluntarily move outside the command range of its division commander. Okay, that's not an independent brigade. A subordinate brigade commander, that also makes sense. Okay, so that all makes sense. That does make sense. So they can fire. That I figured they could, but I still wanted to know. Basically, I was looking for to what detail are there orders restrictions, and I guess that's fairly typical. I guess it's a defense order, so you can only do defense type things. Okay, you can't do offense type things, I should say.